Alrighty, everybody. Here we are live in living color. And
yeah,
I have Matt here with me again.
I'm here.
Because Mike is still slacking off. And as you can see, today we have Mr. David Jones from the Tiki Bar online with us for our blogger
Not really
show.
sure where the box is, so he's, I think, there.
Yeah, he's
I'm here.
down over here.
Gonna do some voguing here. Oh, maybe not.
And I will say right off the bat, if you've been watching anything on the news, you know we have had major, tremendous flooding in this area. I mean, earthquakes, hurricanes, flooding. It's just been crazy up here in Pennsylvania. And my internet seems to be a little wonky. The power went on and off like 5 or 6 times today. So this could
You mean the generator truck and the satellite truck didn't make it?
Yeah, they just didn't get here. I don't think Mike paid for them. I don't know what his problem is, you know. But but
either way, we'll make it work.
Yeah, so just
happens.
In case we happen to drop offline for a little bit, that's the reasoning why. We will be back as soon as I get everything back up and running. So
we go down, I'm turning the lights off and going to bed. Yeah, it's all over.
Sounds like a good idea to me.
We'll leave. It'll come back up by itself, and David will be sitting there talking to people live.
I'll just be, talking head. I'll have a 3-hour monologue.
Oh, my. So anyway, how you doing tonight, Matt?
I'm doing good. What do you got smoking there, Mikey, Dave?
I have, well, which camera? The Art Deco.
Up a little bit.
Well, no, I see. Now, to explain to people watching why David said that, I have 2 web cameras, one for the Skype and one that I use to broadcast out to Ustream. So this is the Ustream camera. That's the Skype camera.
Oh, for God's sake.
Hey, we're professional here.
You have gone high tech on us, man.
Yeah. What do you got going, Dave?
I am smoking. I'll do the whole hand behind the thing here. Guillermo Leon's signature.
Nice.
In the Corona Gorda size.
Those are good.
So
I've got the My Father Le Bijou.
Ooh.
Nice.
Never go wrong with that.
Alrighty. Well, let's just jump into this and say hi to everybody in the chat. And David, why don't you just tell us a little bit about, the Tiki Bar Online, how you got started. I guess you can throw that Keith guy's name out, even though he couldn't be here. Damn West Coaster.
Well, Eastern Time rules.
Yes.
Well, the Tiki Bar started as a herping group back when I lived in California. And I've been smoking now for going at 10 years, right at 10 years. And we'd started getting some guys that would come over I've been married about 8.5 years now, and right after we got married, my wife said, "Hey, have Jim and Vern come over and have a cigar." So Jim and Vern would come over, have a cigar, and before long it was Jim and Vern, and Ray, Vern's brother, would come over, and then Keith joined the group a little bit later, and suddenly we were a big group, and we'd have cigars, and we'd have I'd bring out the bourbon, and other people would bring over whatever they wanted to drink. And I said, "Hey, this is a great thing. We got this song by John Hyatt, "The Tiki Bar is Open," that we kind of adopted as our theme song, and because the song is all about interaction and expressing your thoughts, and having a place to go where you belong, and so that kind of became our theme song. So we became the Tiki Bar. I bought the tiki torches, and then when I decided to do a blog, well, actually the blog more or less started as a way for me to keep up with the guys from the Herfing group when I moved to Tennessee. And I invited everybody to join in, and hey, come and write with us, and we'll just have a good time, and we'll exchange opinions.
So you were originally a left coaster.
I was a left coaster.
Oh, okay.
And it turned out I was the only one who wrote on the blog for the first year and a half. So, and then I finally bugged Keith enough that he decided to join in about a year and a half ago. So that's kind of how it got started, and why we have such an unusual name, because it started off as something else and just kind of morphed its way into this.
Yeah, it's nice how you kept that name, and it's also nice to know that you mentioned that Keith slacked off for the first year and a half. Oh yeah, sorry Keith, you should be here really.
Well, I was also wondering how, because I know you're out of Tennessee and Keith's out of somewhere in California. I was wondering how that all happened.
Well, it was, I don't know, 6.5, 7 years ago. Keith and I were going to the same church, and I was playing guitar in the worship band, and Keith happened to be running the sound. And we were over at the worship leader's house one night for a Christmas party, and I gave the worship leader a cigar because he had been known to enjoy them from time to time. But he ended up giving it to Keith, and Keith smoked it, and he's been a hardcore cigar addict ever since. And
it's a sickness.
Yes, I always joke that his parents still haven't forgiven me. So it's the way it is. By the way, there you are. Matt, you had frozen on my screen for a while.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's just me or...
He's pretty lagged on my end, too.
I just may not have been moving. I'm like a ninja. I can stay still.
Even when your voice comes out. It's
exactly. A ventriloquist. One of my hidden talents.
Man. All right, so now we found out Keith slacked off, and you're the one that got Keith into the cigars. In a roundabout way.
Yeah. But I will give him credit that he has taught me just about everything I know about guns. So, I rely on his, you know how on Pawn Stars they have, well, let me bring in my expert on, antique guns. Or yeah. I always bring Keith in. He's my expert on weaponry, So, have a question, call Keith up, say, hey, what do you think?
Well, now also, sorry, I'm not trying to steal the show from you, Matt, but
no.
I had firsthand knowledge of this. Yous actually still get together, like once a year, and go to a cigar event, because I actually got to meet you guys in person up at Cigar Fest last year.
Right. We try to do that if we have the opportunity. Last year it was Cigar Fest. This year, I worked with Jerry Cruz from Stogie Review. That's StogieReview.com. You can put a little banner right there. Still gear? No, don't do that. Get enough hits. Anyway, I worked with him, and Keith helped out too to put together the Chattanooga Tweet Up, which was just last month. And Keith flew out from California for that. And actually, I do end up going back to California once a year or so for a job. I do freelance graphic design as one of my jobs, one of my sources of income. And one of my jobs needs me to go to California for about 3 days every year. And so they pay me enough to get out there. And I need to be there like 3 weeks from now. I'll be there on a Monday for that job. Yeah. But I'm flying out on Saturday, and I'll be herfing all day with Keith and all the guys out there. So I have taken to calling that the Tiki Bar Reunion Herf.
Oh, that's nice that you're able to make it back and at least do that. I know I moved up here from Florida to New York, and every time I go back, that's pretty much with Tom from Tom's Cigars and a few other people. It's always good to have that group of people.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Even though you talk to them on the internet, it's still cool to hang out in person.
Absolutely. And even though you've met all these other people wherever you live now, I mean, I know all the regulars that I see almost every week when I go down to Burns Tobacconist in Chattanooga. Plus, I have folks that I hang out with when I go to Nashville every now and then. It's nice to have them around. I don't discount those people at all, but boy, isn't it great to have your old friends that you can hang with, the ones that got into this whole habit with you, or the ones that got you into the habit.
Right. All right.
Gave you the sickness.
Matt's ninja skills are really starting to freak me out now. Because you are just totally frozen with your hand like half moving, and technical issues.
Talent.
Technical issues on Matt's side.
Yeah. Well, for me, he's frozen, just kind of looking to the side with his mouth half open. So it's really amazing how the sound keeps coming out. I mean, ventriloquism.
And his hand's amazing. Like half here, and it's kind of like blurred because it was moving. Wow. But anyway, back to the site. Now, you have been doing. You've had the site going for what, 4 or 5 years?
3 years now of continuous publication. But I have to say that the first year and a half, I was just kind of finding what I wanted to do. While I was doing it alone, that sounds bad. While I was working on the site alone, I was trying different things. I was experimenting with how I would review cigars and other things that I wanted to do on there, and finding out what worked and didn't work. So that by the time I did start taking it a little more seriously, around the beginning of 2010, it was pretty much where I wanted it to be. And I hope that the writing has gotten better since then even, but the methodology and the philosophy behind everything is pretty much the same.
Do you guys have a set frequency that you work with as far as you post on certain days? I mean, what's the frequency of posts? I mean, I do follow you guys, but a lot of times it's a week or so before I catch them. And
no problem. Basically, I'm one of those people that likes to plan. So I come up with a schedule of the stuff that I want to review. I normally do full reviews on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I put down a month or more in advance which ones I'm planning on reviewing for Tuesdays and Thursdays for the next month or two, whatever. And Keith reviews something every Wednesday. He's also been contributing some beverage reviews and some IPCPR show sample previews on Mondays for the last month. Well, actually 2 or 3 months that he's been doing all these things now. And then whoever has something to contribute does it on Friday. And that's usually me doing like a shorter, non-graded review, what we call a cigar extra. Funny story there. One of the original tiki bar herfers, we came up with the term cigar extra because we'd get down to the bottom, get down to that much left, and Matt's gone.
I should be back. It's Mike's
Okay.
fault.
I told him to reset his video because of being frozen. Now it's not coming back.
Anyway, we get down to like that much left, and it's too hot to handle the smoke. So we take a pipe and jam it in the pipe, and we call that a cigar extra. So
nice,
and it worked for a lot of times. And we just got to the point where we didn't need to do that anymore.
That's kind of a neat idea, actually.
I haven't done that for ages, to be honest. But you could get down to virtually nothing with your cigar, and it smokes cool.
Well, it's a matter. I've always found when you start getting down to the end, you take those short puffs. You take sips of smoke.
Yes.
Otherwise, you end up with burnt lips, and you end up looking like a crack addict. That's no good.
No, that's not. I was going to make a remark, but
that was the first thought that came to mind. And that's only because I had either the guy was a meth head or crackhead yesterday come into my door trying to sell magazines.
Nice.
Yeah.
Might want to try the video reset again, man. Damn Apple.
I don't know. I believe Dave's on an Apple as well. So
yeah, but his is working fine. Yes, I am. He has a good Apple.
Which is I have a good Apple. I've also turned off all other internet devices as much as possible. The only thing taking any bandwidth is my Twitter app over to the side.
Well, see, we have DSL and Matt has cable too, so that could be.
Yeah, one of my neighbors is probably downloading porn or something. So.
Neighbor.
That's what happens.
His neighbor. All right. Well, we'll just go with the little spinning circle for Matt. Just picture his face there, and you'll be good to go.
Yeah, I'll insert a picture later.
Tell us about the Chattanooga tweet up. I mean, how it came about, and I know because you were involved a lot.
Yeah, yeah, it was turned out to be kind of my baby for the months of June and July. But basically, last December, I attended the Atlanta tweet up at Buckhead Cigar. And had a great time. There were 30 or 40 people there, and we packed out Buckhead Cigar because the place, frankly, just isn't all that big. And at one point, I was sitting talking to Jerry, and he said, "Well, what is Chattanooga like? What is there to do there?" And I was like, "Oh, I don't know. I've only had lived here for 2 years at the time, and I don't live in Chattanooga. I'm almost an hour north." Okay. So it's not like I'm down hanging out in the Noog every day, So I said, geez, I don't know. Chattanooga choo-choo, Lookout Mountain. I don't know what else, And he said, well, maybe we could do one of these down in Chattanooga sometime. I said, great idea. So fast forward about 3 months, and I was at the Dominican Republic La Aurora trip, and Jerry happened to be there too, and he said, when are we going to do this Chattanooga tweet up thing? I said, well, I don't know. Let's get to work on that. So after I got back from that trip, I started actively trying to work on it. I talked to the manager at Burns and got his okay, and we determined a date, and we decided it was Jerry's idea. Really, we decided to do baseball because I love baseball, not quite as much as Jerry does, but I do love baseball, and we have I believe it's a AA affiliate of the Los Angeles Dodgers in Chattanooga. And I'm like, minor league ball has always been one of those things I've heard about and heard is a lot of fun and dirt cheap.
Yes.
Yeah.
I really want to go. This will be a lot of fun. So I started working on getting some vendors to sponsor, and I got 6 or 8 it was pretty good, you know. And then Jerry, in the last month, Jerry came on board. He got done with, I shouldn't say he came on board. He was there the whole time, providing moral support. But in the last 3 or 4 weeks, he decided that he wanted to do more than moral support. And suddenly we were up to 17 cigar vendors by the time we did the thing, plus humidipack for the bags.
Nice.
And we got to a point, at one point we had vendors contacting us. Hey, we heard about this. How can we be a part? And we're like, oh, this is cool. This is way cool. So
That is
Well,
nice.
it's always cool when you don't have to do the knocking on the doors.
yeah. And like I said, there were, we had, I know La Flor Dominicana, Perdomo, and at least one other company were contacting us to be a part of it. And it was really amazing to me how much they wanted to be a part of it. And what we kind of tried to do is make a multi-vendor event where it wasn't about selling cigars like you have in some multi-vendor events.
Right.
It also wasn't about running around a big convention hall with a ticket book trying to grab all your cigars like Cigar Fest or the Big Smoke. I have no problem with those things, but we wanted to do a HERF.
Right.
Get all the cigar geeks, plus all of as many of the brand owners and reps who would want to be here to come in and just hang out. And hey, if you want to talk about Drew Estate cigars, hey, go talk to Zev. He's your man. If you want to talk about 262 cigars, the owner, Clint Aaron, is here, you know, and we just had a great time with that. So
It's always cool to be able to have that face-to-face, especially
yeah.
so many times you don't know where the people, you're not used to talking to them, and if you don't get to a ton of events, stuff like that.
Yeah. And I've gotten so much positive feedback on it being a relaxed and fun event to be at. And so we had I think we counted 100 people.
Wow, it's a good
that were
turnout.
there.
That's nice.
It was. My original hope was for, hey, if we hit 20 from out of town, we're doing great, And once the word started getting around, we had tons of people from Twitter, people flying in, people driving in. We had, Trevor Burke and Slappy McDougal from Mississippi, get on their motorcycles and drive up here. Lady from New York City flew down to Atlanta and then rode up with a couple friends from Atlanta. It was a blast. And so we're going to do it again.
Good.
We haven't figured out the exact date yet. But Jonathan Drew told us when he heard about it, he said, I want to be there,
Right.
but I can't. I have something else going on. And so we said, okay, how about next year? He says, name a date and I will be there. So we got Jonathan Drew saying he'll be here.
Cool.
I believe Matt Booth has already said he wants to come back. And so we're gonna see what happens. It's gonna be a good time.
Matt,
Sounds like
you're
it.
good.
Okay.
You've moved your camera up a little bit because your head's kind of cut off, but other than that, there you
How about
go.
there?
That's good.
Okay. There we go. I wasn't sure.
That's as sexy as you can get.
That must be what the problem is.
Yeah.
I must be overloading the camera.
Just too damn sexy.
All right, now we have a question in the chat. Jay Grimm is asking, what are your thoughts on RSS feeds in the cigar review world? Do you think they have a place, or would you rather not have the RSS? You're familiar with RSS feeds, right, David?
I know what they are.
Okay. Well,
I don't use them at all.
I know a lot of it is
however,
the RSS feed, just takes a portion and sends it, and
Right.
to their reader, and they don't get the full article unless they, I guess, click on it to go to the site or whatever to read it.
It depends on how you have your RSS feed set up. I mean, most people, if you don't really mess with it, and you have the blogs, I mean, it just kind of, it does its own thing, and it post the full content unless you tell it not to.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So I mean,
I have it set up on the Tiki Bar Online to have an RSS feed. If you open up the blog, at the top of the right column on the right, there's a little RSS, badge thingy, and you can sign up for it there. So I've set it up to where it's enabled to work. As far as how do I feel about it, if people want to use that,
Right.
more power to you. I honestly have tried RSS 3 or 4 years ago and didn't care for it, so I've never tried it since. I know your buddy Walt lives and dies by the RSS feed.
Yeah.
I do too. I'd miss everything if I didn't
Oh.
have the feeds popping up, and if I miss a day, forget it. I mean, I've got so many RSS feeds. I end up with thousands of articles, and I think, what was it? Last time I was on vacation, I was gone for 8 days. And I just finally said, you know what? Forget it. I'm not reading it. I'm starting fresh. If I didn't catch it, I don't need to at this point.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm afraid would happen if I started doing it. So I don't. It's kind of like with Twitter. I am currently following. Let me see here. I can tell you. I'm currently following 382 people, and I miss or skip half of what comes through my Twitter feed, if not more.
Oh, yeah.
Because I don't have time to watch all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
So-
gets crazy on there when you're following a lot of people, and I think I'm over 1,000 and some.
Yeah, I have no idea when I'm at.
And you don't even
pay
work.
attention.
Yeah, and I can't keep up with it. My Lord, sometimes I'm looking at it and I'm going, wait, it's just scrolling up the screen. But, yeah, I mean, with the RSS feeds, I don't think they're bad for a site. The only thing I don't like about them, the last time I tried to use them, I tried RSS. Walt was trying to get me into the RSS. Oh, nice. It's asking for a password. Sorry. And, I just couldn't get into it. I always like to go to the website because that one article comes up, I'm like with Matt, if I wanted to have checked it every single day, I would have so many articles. I would never be able to go through them. So then I'll miss things. So I figure if I just go to the sites that I really enjoy and look at them, I'll actually see the things that I want to see.
Yeah.
And that's,
And I have a list of cigar blogs in Firefox.
Yeah.
One of the link folders. I don't know what you call them. And I go to a certain few of those. I go to every single day. Sorry, bug. And I'm not going to reveal which of those they are because I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. I check some sites every day, and I check other sites once or twice a week, scroll around to see if there's anything I've missed. And some sites, I'll just say if a site hasn't updated, and I'm checking it once or twice a week and they haven't updated in a month, I probably won't check them again, to be honest. And that, there are a couple sites that I could point out that have had extraordinarily long-term absences, and it's kind of like, just shut the thing down, people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. But
Or do a post that you're on hiatus or something, so
Something,
people at
yeah.
least know. I mean, that's also part of the reason I do the RSS feeds, because if it was up to me going to sites on a regular basis, it'd never happen. I need something to tell me, hey, they updated something.
Right. And I try to do that in Twitter every day. I put a tweet out there about whatever we're doing. Keith usually retweets it. I have it set up on Facebook to do that whole networked blogs or whatever the hell it's called, where it automatically posts. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't.
that's all right. I think
yeah.
Keith's retweet gets here probably about like 11 o'clock at night because of the damn West Coaster he is. Hi, Keith.
Oh, and you're usually in bed by now, so
Oh,
I mean,
man.
Yeah. Oh, I know. It's 7:30. Aren't you past your bedtime already?
I'm telling you, I'm feeling. I'm about ready to pull out a pillow and just take a nap right here.
Get a cup of coffee.
You guys just go ahead.
Yeah.
only if you're gonna hit the Zaya with it or something. At least make
Right.
this
Yeah,
entertaining.
actually, I left. I only have a little bit in a bottle yet. I finished off the one down here on the one show, and the other one's upstairs. I forgot to bring it down.
Yeah.
Sounds like it's time to buy more.
Yeah.
I was hoping you'd be mixing your Zaya with some Percodan and, giving us a real good show.
Yeah, I did that once. Not on a show. That won't happen again.
Mix some Zaya, some Percodan, and then smoke a Cane F. We'll have a great little.
Oh, that was
segment.
good seeing him smoke the KNF Lancero.
Yeah.
He did that when we last show.
Yeah, I did.
Oh,
yeah,
really?
with Olivia
Yeah.
Ian. Yep.
And I'm sorry I did miss that, but how did it go?
Good. I mean, it,
I mean,
Until
to me,
the
that's-
tweet I got later that when he stood up
Yeah.
and decided to go back upstairs.
it was like, whoa.
that
Yeah.
that to me is the strongest Cane F is that Lancero.
Oh,
It hit me. It was great.
it's a good cigar though. I mean, I want to say for me, out of any of the canes, that's the most flavorful.
I would have said that until last night. Last night I burned my double F that came in the sampler pack.
Right.
And I'm not sure what they did differently about that cigar, but it was amazing. Smooth and very, very full bodied, but I didn't have any nicotine hit at all when I finished it. Surprised the hell out of me because I thought it was going to be, knock you over
Right.
strong, but just extraordinarily full bodied, but quite sweet and really tasty.
Well, that's like the
Well, that-
King Daytona
Yeah.
Lancero. Now, Dave Wagner handed me one up at. Actually, he handed me one at Cigar Fest and one at Cigar Expo, I think, and I smoked them. And I thought they were actually a lot more flavorful. I didn't care for the regular cane. The regular cane to me
the
was
Maduro and the Habano
yeah,
didn't do anything for me.
but the Daytona was good, and I mean the Cane F Lancero was good too. It's just the power was there for
Little
me when I stood up.
Yeah, that is a very strong cigar. I don't think that I've had every single size in the Cane F, but I think that one was the strongest for me
Yeah. All right, now
Well-
let's
and the best tasting.
yes. Now let's
Yeah.
give a shout out here first. We're if you notice we're ad free on Ustream, and I want to give a shout out to Rich, who is in the chat. Hi, Rich. Say everybody
Yes.
say hi to Rich from
Hi,
East
Rich.
Coast Cigars, and George from Rodrigo Cigars. Sponsored us so we could go
Yes.
with no ads, and we wanted to throw that out in the show here and give them a nice good shout
Make sure you
out.
follow them on Twitter. I believe Rich is Rich in the Keys on Twitter. Thank him.
Yep.
And
Rodrigo
say,
Cigars.
yeah, Rodrigo Cigars. And well, I guess I've got a question for you, Dave. With the
Certainly.
tiki bar theme and everything, if you were on a desert island, and you could have one cigar,
Oh,
you have to smoke that cigar. That's it. You've got an unlimited supply of them, but that's the only cigar you're getting
forever.
forever.
Oh,
Devil's Weed.
oh, yeah, Devil's Weed.
Oh, no. Thompson Black Label.
Oh my God, I almost broke that out to smoke tonight. Then I thought I really don't want to look, like a total suck up.
Yeah,
But-
we would know what was going on. Everybody else would be like, and then you'd have to tell that whole story about.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Honestly, I'll say probably right now, still my favorite one is this one I'm smoking, the Guillermo Leon signature in the Corona Gorda size. I've smoked through a box of these almost in the last year, and I love them. Actually, it hasn't been a year; it's been since January, I believe. And I love these cigars. I think they are the best as far as, they're extraordinarily flavorful. They're easy on the wallet, and I don't get tired of them. And those are all good things. And sometimes I want a stronger cigar. Sometimes I want a milder cigar. This one is right in the middle. It's a good medium bodied stick. That being said, I would die of boredom if I had to smoke one cigar the rest of my life. One of the reasons I got into doing the blog at all was the fact that I like to try everything out there. And I needed a way to record what I thought about the different ones when I smoked them. And in the past, people keep little notebooks and they write all the stuff and paste a band on there, and that's great. But what if you leave the book at home? You can't write in it, and you can't paste a band in it. You can't see what you thought about it. Well, hey, I'll put it online, and that way I can access it from anywhere. So
I think that's how a lot of people have gotten started.
Yeah.
WordPress and blogs in general make it so easy to keep track of stuff.
Yes.
Yeah, and with all the technology, your smartphones, your tablets, I mean, everything known to man can get on the internet now, and it's just simple to find the stuff. But Rich had a question here for you.
Certainly.
He said about the site. Has keeping up the site become a chore for you, or is it still fun?
It's fun. And if it wasn't fun, honestly, I've always said, when it stops being fun, I'm not going to do it anymore. It is my third job in some ways, but only because I make it that. Right. Because I want the structure of having to say, I want to do these cigars in the next few weeks. And then I have a list that I need to look at and say, okay, well, I need to smoke this. I need to smoke this. And there are some days where it's like, well, I really need to smoke this for a review. And I'm not really sure I feel like doing it. And that's when that schedule gets changed around.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I have that freedom because it is my blog, and Keith's blog too, but it is my thing. I can do this. I can change it around. Whereas if it's a real work situation, it's not quite as fluid to do that kind of thing.
Good. Yeah, that's I hear that from a lot of bloggers where, they say it's fun, and when it stops being fun, it becomes more work than it is fun. Then they're gonna just give it up. And I mean, it's hard sometimes. I think. I mean, there's always those times that you're. Things come up in life and you're rushing around to do things, and then you're like, oh, I got to get a review done. And, but, everybody has those moments, whether it's cigar blogs or if it's just life in general. So
I hear that from my wife all the time. I'm saying, I got to do this. I got to get this done. Why is it got to be today? You don't have to do it. No, I have to. I've committed to this.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and part of the way I work is planning ahead, and I'll tell you right out front here. I've got a blog post about this subject coming up in a month or two. But I have all my reviews for the month of September pretty much done. They're written. Most of them are already pre-posted. If I die, you're still going to get new content from me for the next 3 weeks.
That's going to be
because
freaky.
I've already got it done. Yeah. So, that way I rarely come up to a situation where, oh, I've got to get this done or nothing's going to post tomorrow. I don't come up to that situation very often because I just have gotten out ahead of myself. Part of that is because, there's this new cigar I want to smoke, and I want to smoke this new one. I want to smoke this new one. And suddenly I've got all these reviews lined up, and I'm like, well, crap, time to fill the schedule up.
Now, have you
now,
ever...
one question...
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Mike.
Well, no, I was going to just ask if you ever have thought about going to video.
I have an idea for a video review that I would like to do at some point. A type of video review that it may only last 2 or 3 reviews. As far as all the time, no. And I'll tell you, it's mostly because I don't know that I would be that much fun to watch for 10 or 15 minutes But you get me for an hour tonight.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know that it would be that much fun to watch me going on and on about a cigar for 10 or 15 minutes. So I don't want to do it unless I can be entertaining at it. Look, Jerry Cruz, I think, sets a high standard for cigar entertainment. And I'm not saying that I need to be that good at the first time I do one, but I would at least like to be better than, well, like you. Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Thank you. Where's that off button?
I had to I had to get one dig in,
Now, I've got a question. As far as when you do your reviews, how many do you typically smoke before you put your review together?
Well, and that there's a fun one. That we got into a big argument about this about a year and a half ago. I am a proponent of the single stick review theory. One cigar should be as good as the next one out of that box. And if it's not, the manufacturer is doing something wrong. And I'm talking mostly about things like flavor. Obviously, you might have a draw issue on one cigar. You might have it be burning crooked or something. But the flavor should be the same from cigar to cigar to cigar. And if it's not, it should be in a bundle, not in a box.
Yeah.
So I have no problem whatsoever with putting a review up based on one cigar. And the flavor is the heaviest weight in my reviews anyway.
Right.
Now, that being said, I will do reviews of multiple sticks. And if a manufacturer wants to send me multiple sticks to do a review, I'll smoke them all, before I put the review up. For instance, CAO sent me some of the new OSA Soul, sent me a 5-pack of the, whatever it is, lot 54, whatever.
Right.
And I ended up smoking 4 of those. I gave one to somebody else who has another blog, and he actually already posted about that. But I smoked 4 for that review. So.
Okay, cool.
And I still, and I'll be honest, I've done multi-stick reviews. I've done it for a ton of cigars. Not a ton, but I'd say, in the last year and a half, maybe 20 or 30% of the reviews I've done have been multi-stick. And to be honest, all but maybe 1 or 2 times, my end review is the same as it would have been after 1 stick.
That's good.
So.
Yeah, it's all, everybody has different ways of doing it. It's nice to hear how you do. Now, do you know, is Keith the same? Do you know?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we basically have the same opinion on that. The one change that we did, I had a big argument with this with Barry Stein about a year and a half ago. It'll go down in Twitter legend, and just look, you have your way, I have my way, and I don't think that your way is wrong, but I have problems with other people saying that my way is wrong. It's all opinion at the end of the day, people. The only thing that's wrong, the only way that's wrong is to just smoke the first inch or two and call it 90 points and walk away.
Yeah.
Does that mean I have to redo all my reviews?
And I think we all know who I'm talking about there.
Matt. No.
I don't review.
Yeah, I know.
Actually, I've done 1 or 2 reviews, and it's a pain in the ass. It really is. It's one of those things where I look at it, it's very subjective, and it's all based on your palate, Dave's palate, Mike's palate. I look at it, you find somebody that has similar tastes, but the review's always going to be limited to, your breadth of knowledge.
Yes. Right, and you have to associate a flavor that you're getting with something from the real world, where sometimes I can't even do it. Sometimes I get a flavor, and I'm just like, I have no clue. People are coming up with these spice flavors and naming the exact spice that's in there, and I'm like, yeah, not me.
I think some of that stuff has its place. There are people that are like that, but for the everyday person, knowing what Anna said or something like that tastes like, most people have never had it.
Right. I'll tell you though, there are some flavors that come through really, really strongly. A friend of mine who has a blog, Nate McIntyre, he's the Smoky Life. He had this Padilla cigar that I cannot remember which one it was. It might have been a 68 or something like that. And he was smoking. He says, "I swear to you, I'm getting spearmint." And he sent me one of them, and I was smoking it, and like 5 minutes in, I'm like, what the hell? Spearmint. I mean, just dead on. It tasted like chewing gum, you know? And it went on for the whole cigar after that. I was like, that is the wildest thing.
Yep, I've had that. I've had flavors like I come out in a cigar. And you try to, you wonder where did it come from? You know, like I think, well, John Huber was on the show, you know, and he was saying, you know, there's only so many flavors in a cigar. Everything else is
gunmetal. That's always going to stick with me.
Gunmetal. Yeah. Yes. Yes. If you've tasted gunmetal in your cigar, though, I have a feeling that maybe you're storing them in the wrong place. You know.
Well, like you said, what have you done in your life that you've been able to taste gunmetal?
Yeah, exactly.
Damn straight. Yeah. I mean, but I'll give you an example though. From this one that I'm smoking right now, there is. You hear the dog?
I'm waiting for him to attack you. That'll make a good show.
There is definitely a like I call it orange peel, kind of a citrusy note to this cigar, and I have been able to narrow that down to being the use of the Peruvian tobacco in here. And if you want to really experience it in a way that's totally, you know, bursting with that citrus flavor, try La Libertad. It's by the Stokkebye Villiger people. And that has, I believe, a Peruvian binder and wrapper. And there is so much citrus flavor in there. It's amazing. You don't like it, I understand, but you know, it's kind of interesting as a note in this, but on that, it's almost overwhelming.
I remember, I believe the original Rocky Patel Summer Edition. I believe it was 2007 or 2008 was a lot like that. Had a lot of citrus to it.
Okay.
And that's always something I like. I ended up buying a box of those, and I think half the world hated them.
I wasn't a fan of that one, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
I love that first winter version. That first one was great.
Well, I believe that turned into, what was it, the Patel Brothers or the 1961 eventually?
It was one of those.
Patel Brothers.
Yep.
Yeah.
It turned into Patel Brothers, but I had it, and I had a different size. It wasn't the same. It didn't taste that good to me. And then I understand now that the Patel Brothers has been discontinued, so I don't know. Hard to keep up with the 150 different lines that Rocky has out there. So
well, it's hard to keep up with everything in general.
Yeah.
We've got a question in the chat room from Jay Grimm. He's asking, what's the AFP scale?
AFP scale. When I was looking around for a scale, a way to rate cigars, I was listening at the time to a podcast called American Front Porch, which was hosted by my friend Nate McIntyre, who I just mentioned a few minutes ago. And he and his buddy Cameron came up with a scale. They called it the Everyman Cigar Rating Scale. And it was so easy that it stuck with me after just hearing it 2 or 3 times. And I said, you know, this is how I want to be able to rate stuff for my own reference. So when I started the blog, at the time, American Front Porch was still on the air as a blog. And soon thereafter, Nate decided he needed to do other things, so he stopped. Right. And he said, now I'm out of here. Catch you later. Bye-bye. And I thought, you know, I will honor the people that came before me and inspired me, and called it the AFP scale for American Front Porch. So that's what it is.
Look at that. Getting the inside scoop tonight.
Now, I've got a question. I know you guys do actual ratings, and I know people go back and forth on this, whether putting a number to something is, you know, is easy, and if it's the correct thing to do necessarily, because it's so subjective. I know if you look at, like, for instance, Cigar Aficionado, over the time, their stuff has crept, you know, where just about anything gets a 90 or an 85.
Right.
Do you find it to be a problem sometimes to put that scale to a cigar? I mean, especially if you've given something a higher number to something else?
No, honestly, no, because it's how I'm feeling about that cigar at the time when I smoke it. And later on, I may go back 6 or 8 months later, and I may go back and I say, geez, I rated this a 9.5 out of 10, but boy, I'm just not enjoying it now. And I may try it again, and maybe my palate's changed. Maybe the blend has changed, you know, so blends change too, or different years of tobacco or whatever. And I don't have a problem doing that. You know, sometimes I change my mind. It's my prerogative.
Yeah.
But, you know, as far as I know that there was some hue and cry over some lame guy on a British forum a couple of months ago who talked about, you know, all the bloggers, and he was dissing all of them. And yeah, I mean, and I got mentioned.
Yeah.
I was like, yes, we got mentioned,
Yep.
you know, and his deal was, you know, well, these guys, they always give everything a 9 or 9.5. And I'm like, actually, no, we don't. That week I had given something, and I don't even remember what it is off the top of my head, but I'd given something a 6.5 that week.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen often, but you know,
Thompson Black Label.
No, no, actually, you know what? I do remember it was H. Upman Sungrown. It was just I really didn't like it at all. So,
I think they called me a freak or something, but they're right.
Well, that wasn't far off.
Hey, they pegged me. Hey.
Well, they said, you know, you know, that they liked us even though we gave everything an 8.5 or 9 or 9 or 9.5. So I'm like, oh, I'll take that.
Yeah, at least they liked you. Hell.
Yeah.
Even offhanded compliments are still compliments.
Yes. I think the one who got it the worst on that was wasn't it Young Buck? Got really shredded by that one or something.
I can't remember. Him or Tom. I know Tom was on there too, and I can't remember.
Yeah, they were talking about him about someone, you know, being really young and reviewing it. And I think it was Young Buck who they were dishing on there, and I thought, oh, that's sad, but
funny.
That's okay. We do that to him all the time anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
He's a good kid. He's trying. I think, you know, give him some more time and he'll progress.
Oh, sure.
All right. Well, I have a question.
And look,
oh, go ahead.
certainly.
What were you going to say?
Oh, well, I was going to say that from my own experience and from what I've talked to other people, I'm not 100% sure who it was in the industry that made this comment to me, so I won't name drop this time. But I've been told that it takes 4 or 5 years for your palate to fully develop for smoking cigars and being able to taste everything in them. And from my own experience, absolutely, I agree. You know, so if you get out there and you're reviewing, you know, after smoking for 6 months or a year, hey, good for you. But maybe you should be telling people that, yeah, I'm still kind of new at this, you know, so this is what I'm tasting,
Right.
you know, and put it out there. I think someone even had a newbies cigar blog or something a while back. I don't know whatever happened to it, but
Yeah, I think that would be too.
Yeah, there's been a few of those come and go. Either that or they considered them pros or something at that point. I don't know.
Yeah.
anyone who considers themselves pros is probably thinking too much of themselves. To
Exactly.
Be honest.
All right. Well, I have a last question here probably for the night. And I know David and I get on about this. Oh, he gets on me hard on this on Twitter all the time.
Are we doing the Mac stuff now?
No.
Oh.
No, everybody knows Windows
Which, by the
sucks.
way, I think you missed him wearing his Mac shirt.
Yes, I was going to wear my Mac shirt again. I actually
I
have a Mac store shirt that Matt sent me from Brandon, right? It was the Brandon
Yeah,
store?
from Brandon, Florida. Yeah.
Wow.
And
I'm a big boy, and somebody gave me a small size, so I figured might as well send it to Mike.
I'll wear it. What the hell?
There you go.
But no, about supporting your local brick and mortar compared to buying online. And
yes,
I know now. I know quite a few people actually who are kind of like me, where either we don't have real close stores, or the stores that we do have are either way overpriced or just don't have a selection. And we've gotten, we've gone back and forth on Twitter about, box online, this, that, the other thing. And just, tell people you're live. We have this on tape. Well, actually, we don't use tape anymore, but kind of close.
Virtual tape.
Yeah. But, let people know, what do you think? Do you think with people who don't have the brick and mortar stores close by, do you still think that they should take the trip, once a month, whenever they need cigars to support that brick and mortar that's closest?
I think that if you can, you should. I do know that there are some people who live far enough away from a good brick and mortar that they can't really make that drive. It would be an all-day trip for them, and I get that. So you know what? Call up Buckhead Cigar. Call up Burns Tobacconist, Chattanooga, Tennessee. I don't have the phone number here. I'd give you the phone number. Call up a brick and mortar that you know is a good, reputable shop and order from them.
Rich from East Coast Cigars.
Yes, Rich from East Coast Cigars, or Rodrigo Cigars, I believe, correct?
Yeah.
Call up a brick and mortar that, will take your phone call and give you and send the stuff out to you on in the mail. Give them the business, because that sounded bad, but let them have your business, because they work hard to do these jobs. And I don't order much online. I think the last time I ordered anything online was about 1 year and 8 or 9 months ago. And I just don't do it anymore. I did when I was, young and stupid, if you want to put it that way. But actually, the reality is I was poorer and not as well versed in these topics, and my palate was not all that sophisticated either. So, buying, some of the crap that they sell on the devil's side and stuff like that didn't bother me, because, hey, it's $1.50 cigar.
Yeah.
I'm going to like it. And, I think there's a time and place for it, but if you can at all, go into that store. I drive 45 minutes each way almost every week to go down to Burns, and every time I'm in there, I spend money, even if it's just $20 1 week, and maybe the next week they're having an event and I buy a box. The next week I go in, I still go, but I maybe don't buy anything because I just bought a box last week.
Right.
Support your local brick and mortar if you can. Obviously, I know that there are some that may not even deserve the name brick and mortar. You know what I'm talking about, the cigarette shops that have a less than well-maintained humidor that they probably turn off at night, and it's stocked up with 5-year-old helixes and other what somebody told me about the store that's closest to them, they had a whole wall of JR alternatives, and I'm like, that's great, so they're buying them from JR and then marking them up to sell there. So
I don't know. I'm of the mentality. I think Skip or Chief Havas said it best. They have to earn your business, and I think in the days of social media and stuff now, people that you wouldn't have access to are now earning your business. You've got people like Rich, you've got people like Jackie from Bonita Smoke Shop, you've got the guys from Buckhead. I mean, before you wouldn't come in contact with those people, but now you're building a relationship with those people. I mean, me personally, I've got 2 shops around me, and plus being in New York, I don't want to pay 75% tax.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when they passed that, I said they're not getting one more penny, but they haven't earned my business. And even when those taxes came through, they weren't out there pushing, advising people.
Right.
I knew about it, and I talked to one of them about it, and he's like, "Oh, I don't know. I don't know what they're putting it up to or something." You know, he had no idea. And this is one of the owners of the shop. And I'm looking at it going, this is your livelihood, and you're not well versed in it.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Right.
that's
Like, you know,
I mean, I'll say that I'm lucky. You know, Matt, the manager down at Burns, keeps on top of the issues when it comes to the legislation, and tries to get everyone who comes in to join the CRA. And you know, 2 or 3 weeks ago, he's like, pushes a piece of paper in front of me, says, "Here, sign this." And I'm like, "What am I signing?" And it was some form letter to send to, you know, state legislator for something. I don't even remember what it was, but I read through it and signed it. Yeah, as far as you said, they need to earn your business, and I think I understand what you mean by that. Although there was a debate on that issue a few weeks ago on Twitter as well about what does it mean to earn your business.
provide good customer service. I mean, in both instances, I've had situations where, you know, the owner or whoever's running the place just kind of doesn't, you know, really participate in the experience.
Okay.
And
but do you mean that? Do you mean that for like the first time you walk in the door, they have to work to sell you something, or is it, you know, they have to work to get you to come back?
You should be showing me what you've got in your humidor. As far as, if you've never met me before, chances are, you know, you've never met me before. If you're working there, or you own the shop, you know the people who come in and out. You should be taking me around, you know, at least walking in the humidor or something, kind of just saying, this is our selection, you know, something to that effect. You know, not, I think one place, the guy just stood there and talked to his friends the entire time, and there was nothing. And I've been in there a couple times and had that same experience.
So that's a problem.
Yeah, I mean,
that sounds like a lazy owner, to be honest.
And that's what I mean. I mean, there's people who've gone well out of their way, you know, like the people I've mentioned, from social media and stuff like that, more than I can get from the locals. And I guess I'm also kind of spoiled because I used to live in Florida.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I had St. Pete's Cigar, stuff like that, Tampa Humidor, all within close distance. And they all provided great customer service.
Okay.
And I think in these lean times, that's what you have to put to differentiate yourself.
Absolutely.
No, we might be having trouble with the live feed, but I did want to bring something up, and this is my point in the whole conversation. Basically, Rich brought it up from East Coast. He says the big problem is the brand owners letting the big guys sell their stuff for $5 to $10 over cost. And this was my big thing, you know, with the whole brick and mortar thing. It's, you know, if I go to a brick and mortar store, you know, they have contracts, everything else, and they're allowed to sell for certain discounts here and there and whatever.
Right.
But, you know, I think the manufacturers could turn the tide on everything if they would submit the contracts to be the exact same thing with online and brick and mortar. But the thing is, your local brick and mortar isn't going to buy 1 million cigars at one shot.
Exactly. Yeah.
And also there's no point if they're not enforcing it. I've seen in many instances where the brand owners aren't enforcing it, even though there is a contract.
Yeah, exactly. And you know, it's one of those things. I don't mind online shops. I mean, here in Pennsylvania, we have the biggest ones around, pretty much. You know.
Sure.
I mean,
no tax.
Exactly. It's great. But you know, I see the problem with the pricing structure, and you know, I can't see how you know, like your local store, if it has to sell a box of cigars for $100, say, but then the online shop can sell them for 60. It's too much of a disparity there. And that's my whole point with the online and brick and mortar stuff. Now, I do have a brick and mortar, and actually it's almost like a tobacco. It's called Genuine Tobacco. They sell pipe and everything stuff. But, I mean, they have a great lounge. They keep up the humidor very nice. The owner and the one guy they have another shop in another town, actually went to IPCPR. And, they keep up with the stuff. And they don't get everything in, but they'll get like a box or two of this, box or two of that. And they actually beat online prices for a lot of things they have in their store. And, they don't have the contracts. They go through like the independent brokers and things.
Yeah, the Santa Claras and stuff like that.
Right.
But they get name brand. I mean, they have EP Carrillo in there, now the Camacho stuff went up in price once they signed the contract, but
Well, I mean, look, I don't see an issue with brick and mortar is obviously going to need to charge more because they have to employ more people. A lot of times they have to provide for television and satellite and all the experience of being at the shop. And so, they're going to need to charge a little bit more. But no, it shouldn't be a $60 versus $100 proposition.
Right.
It should be $85 or $90 versus $100.
Yeah.
Right.
That would make sense to me.
Exactly. And
I get the fact that there are some people, living in, I don't know. I mean, I would pick a spot, living on the border of Kansas and Colorado where, they're out in the middle of nowhere with no big towns around, and it's going to take 2 hours or more to drive to, Colorado Springs or wherever, just picking a spot.
Yeah.
right.
And to do so would be, very difficult to do. So you're going to order online. I understand that. But yes, I do think that if you've got the financial capability, you should, order those things from one of these people that's on Twitter that is a brick and mortar. And if you don't, I think that the price differential should be different. And yes, Mike, you're right. The manufacturers need to make that step.
Right.
But try to convince some of these big guys to do that, especially when some of these big guys own some of these online retailers.
Exactly.
That makes it difficult.
Right. I mean, it's, they look at it and they go, well, I can sell pallets of this, or I can sell a few hundred boxes. That's
and that's business. That's just like, but it's kind of funny how like with a Walmart, everybody complains about Walmart, putting out the mom and pop shops, and it's almost the same in the cigar world, with the online places being able to undercut all the brick and mortars. And my brother-in-law and I looked into it. We were talking about opening up a shop in our town, and it's just when you actually sit down and figure, like the box and how much profit and how many boxes of cigars you have to sell like per week or per month just to keep the shop open. I mean, it just boggles your mind.
Sure.
But those online guys, they can take 10 million cigars and move them.
And like I said, it doesn't hurt when 2 or 3 of these very big online guys are owned by
yes
2 or 3 of the biggest companies out there.
Exactly.
And they're deep discounting their own stuff when it first comes out versus what you can buy it for in the brick and mortar. And that again, the brick and mortars need to stand up to them and say, why are you doing this? And I know that my own brick and mortar did that with a particular line. They signed a contract, and it said, the contract that they signed said these will not be sold online at such and such a discount.
Right.
And then it turned out 2 weeks later, they get the catalog, and there they are. And Matt called up the rep or whoever. I don't know who he called. I'm going to avoid names because it's, I don't want to sling mud. But he called him up and said, do something for me here. You need to discount these more for me, or at least give me the sampler that you're giving away when you buy a box online. And they said, nope, can't do it. And he said, okay, fine. We won't be carrying those cigars at all. And for 2 years, he didn't carry that line of cigars until they came around and changed the way they did business.
Unfortunately, that's the case most of the time. Is the companies go, well, too bad, you know, and even they need to realize that they need to earn your business as well as a shop owner. I mean, I've seen instances where brands have said, well, you have to carry us. And I've seen shops, perfect example, Rocky Patel. I've seen shops survive and even thrive without even carrying one Rocky Patel cigar.
Absolutely.
And that's not the case. You can always get your customer onto something.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, at the shop I go to, I hesitate to throw out numbers, but I've got to say they've got something like 500 facings of different cigars. And if they had to, a year or so ago, there was a big hullabaloo with a very popular rep in this area who got fired, and he threatened to take all of those cigars off the shelf and never carry them again. They eventually worked all the differences out, but I told him, I said, well, this is one of my favorite brands. If you don't carry them, I'm going to get them from somewhere. And he says, fine. I said, can you survive without these? He said, absolutely. We've still got Illusione and Tatuaje and, you know, 70 or 80 other brands. We don't need this one brand in order to make good money.
Right.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well.
And some shops can do that. Some shops can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's understandable. But. All right. Well, we kept you over the time limit here. I guess we'll end the show on that note. It was great having you here, David. It was a fun show. It was interesting, and hopefully everybody enjoyed it out there in La La Land.
I hope so too.
And, get your last plug in. What's your site again?
Tiki Bar Online. That's www.tikibaronline.com.
All right. Well,
and
thanks for joining us. And
thank you for having me.
Keith would have been here, but he was busy, and because he's a West Coaster. But yeah, people are going to watch this and probably hate me if they live in California. I get them on Twitter all the time.
They're not allowed to smoke anymore anyway out there.
Yeah, they should just quit, you know. But so anyway, all right, David, thank you very much for joining us. It was a great show.
You.
All right. Yes.
Have good luck with your site.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
All righty. David is gone, and
yes, he is.
Whoops. Where the hell is Matt? There's Matt. Hi, Matt.
I should be here somewhere.
I forgot I had to do the pop-out thing.
Ah, okay.
Skype. Oh, Skype changed. I hate you, Skype. Thank you. Anyway,
great, now it's going to drop.
It was a good show. You're frozen.
Yeah. Ah.
But at least you look kind of studious right there. I mean, you're like frozen right at the mic, looking like you're working. It's pretty cool.
That's a good show.
But anyway,
well,
want to announce our next show. And now, if everything goes according to plan, Mike is going to be back for the next show, which is going to be September 24th at 1 p.m., and it's going to be with Oliveros Cigars. Hank from Oliveros Cigars is going to join us.
I believe it's Hank Bischoff or something like that.
So hopefully everybody will be able to join us for that. And again, we want to say thank you to Rodrigo Cigars and East Coast Cigars for the sponsorship for the ad-free.
Yes, please thank them on Twitter. Please click their banner on our page, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, and one last thing. We have a contest going. In the announcement for this, we wanted to get your opinion. What's the best time for the show? I know we do our Saturday shows at 1, and a lot of people have said they can't do it. And what we're doing is just post in the comments for the announcement, or even this one. Doesn't matter what the best time is for you. And we're going to randomly pick somebody for a 5-pack from Mike Williams Humidor.
Yeah, he's been slacking off, so he's giving some cigars away.
He doesn't show up, and we give away his stuff.
Hey, Why not? You know, we should have given like a whole humidor away or something. That would
Ah, nah.
a day.
Well,
with
actually,
no
we
clothes.
did. We did.
Well,
thanks to
actually, we
Rich.
did. Yeah, we gave a stinky
Yeah.
away, a humidor away. Yeah.
So, with that, I guess that's the end of the show. Thank you, everybody in the chat room and everybody listening. So,
Till September 24th. See yous.
see you then.